Put your phone down for a second. No, actually, pick it up closer, because what I am about to tell you, I have never told anyone completely. Not my closest friend, not my therapist, not even my own children. But today I am telling you, because someone out there needs to hear this. Someone who is sitting right now in the middle of losing everything. Their home, their marriage, their money, their name, to someone they loved and trusted completely. I need you to hear what happened to me, and I need you to hear how it ended. My name is Diana. 5 years ago I had everything. A beautiful home, a thriving business I had built from nothing over 11 years. A husband I adored. 2 children who were my entire world. And a sister, my older sister, Rebecca, who I believed was the one person on earth who would never, under any circumstances, betray me. I was wrong about one of those things. Here is how it started, and I need you to stay with me, because the beginning is painful. But the ending will change how you see everything. Rebecca came to work with me 7 years ago. My business, an event planning company, was growing faster than I could manage alone. She had just gone through a difficult divorce. She needed a fresh start. I needed help. It felt like the universe had arranged it perfectly. I gave her full access. Bank accounts, client contacts, supplier relationships, legal documents, everything. Because she was my sister. Because trust, when it lives inside a family, feels like it doesn't need to be questioned. For 2 years, everything was wonderful. And then, slowly, quietly, in ways I would only understand much later, Rebecca began building something of her own, using everything I had given her access to, using me. The first sign was a client I had worked with for 6 years, a large corporate account that represented almost 30% of my annual revenue. They didn't renew. When I called to ask why, there was an uncomfortable pause. Then, carefully, my contact told me that they had decided to go with another company, a newer company, one that had reached out to them directly with a proposal that was, in his words, remarkably familiar to the kind of work we had always done together. I asked for the name of the company. He told me. I did not recognize it immediately, but something about it felt like a splinter, small, invisible, irritating in a way I couldn't locate. That night I searched the name online. The company had been registered 8 months earlier. The director listed was a name I didn't know. But the address, a serviced office, suite across the city, had a secondary contact listed. Rebecca's phone number. I sat at my desk for a very long time. Then I started going back through everything. Bank statements, email histories, client communication records, supplier contracts. All of it, 8 months of it, suddenly reading completely differently. Rebecca had been using my client database, which she had full access to approach my accounts quietly. She had been using knowledge of my pricing, my methods, my supplier relationships to undercut me. With a company she had been building in secret for almost a year. She had taken 3 of my largest accounts. She had approached 2 of my key suppliers with better terms she knew I couldn't match because she had seen my financial position from the inside. And she had done all of it while sitting across from me at family dinners, while calling me every Sunday, while telling me she didn't know what she would do without me. I drove to her house that evening. I knocked on her door. When she opened it and saw my face, she knew immediately. She did not deny it. What she said, standing in her doorway, arms crossed, in a voice I had never heard from her before, was, "You always had everything, Diana. You always got everything first. The good marriage, the successful business, Mom always looking at you like you were something special. I just took what should have been an equal share." I looked at my sister, this woman I had shared a childhood with, a family with, half my professional life with, and I felt something I can only describe as the floor of the world dropping away. Not anger, not grief, something much quieter, much more final. "You had an equal share," I said. "I gave it to you, and you used it to destroy me." I turned around and walked back to my car. That was the last conversation we had for 3 years. What followed was the hardest period of my life. 3 of my largest accounts were gone. 2 suppliers had renegotiated away from me. My revenue had dropped by almost half. I had to let 2 employees go. People who had been with me for years. People I considered friends. People who cried when I told them. I cried too, more than I have ever cried in my life. There were mornings I sat in my empty office and genuinely did not know how I was going to continue. There were nights I lay awake calculating numbers that didn't add up, no matter how many times I ran them. There were moments, dark, private moments, when I wondered if what Rebecca had said was true. If I had somehow had too much, if this was some kind of correction. And then one morning in a Tuesday, completely ordinary, I picked up my phone and I called my oldest client, a woman named Margaret who had been with me since the very first year, who had watched me build everything from a kitchen table and a dream. "I need help," I said. It was the hardest sentence I have ever spoken. "I know," she said. "I've been waiting for you to call. Come in tomorrow. Let's rebuild." That phone call changed everything. What happened next did not happen quickly. I want to be honest about that. Because stories that jump from the lowest point to the highest in 60 seconds are not real. Real rebuilding is slow. It is unglamorous. It is Tuesday. Mornings and spreadsheets and phone calls that don't go the way you hoped in starting. Again the next day anyway, but it happened. Margaret connected me with 2 new corporate clients. I restructured my supplier relationships, and in doing so, found better terms than I had ever had before. I hired 1 new employee, young, brilliant, completely loyal, and we rebuilt together. Within 18 months, my revenue had not just recovered, it had doubled. But that is not the part that made me cry. This is the part that made me cry. Rebecca's company, the one she had built on the foundation of everything she had taken from me, began to struggle within its 2nd year. The clients she had poached began to have concerns about quality. The suppliers she had negotiated with began to pull back. The corporate account that had left me for her, the one that represented 30% of my revenue, contacted me 18 months later. "We made a mistake," my contact said. "We'd like to come back, if you'll have us." I thought about it for exactly 1 day. Then I said yes. Rebecca reached out to me 8 months after that. A message, carefully written, clearly revised many times. She said she was sorry, that she had been wrong, that she didn't expect forgiveness but wanted me to know. I read it 3 times. Then I wrote back 1 paragraph. I told her I had chosen not to carry what she had done as a weight, that I had decided, somewhere in the middle of rebuilding, that her choices were hers and my life was mine, that I forgave her, not for her sake but for the sake of the woman I wanted to be. I did not invite her back into my life. Forgiveness and trust are not the same thing. I have learned that clearly, but I released it, completely. And what I found on the other side of releasing it was something I did not expect. Peace so complete and so full that it felt, I am not ashamed to say this, like something given, like something beyond what I had built with my own hands. I believe in a force. Call it God, call it the universe, call it what you will. That does not forget. That keeps accounts of its own. That does not always move quickly, but moves completely. My sister took everything from me, and what came back with interest. Here is what I want you to hold on to. If you are somewhere right now in the middle of losing, the people who take from you are not more powerful than you. They are just less patient. And patience, real, deep, unshakable patience, is the most powerful force in any story. Stay, rebuild. Make the phone call you are afraid to make. What is meant for you cannot be taken. It can only be delayed. And it always, always comes back.